Hey there, my name's Liam, helping you be the artist that you want to be. In this video, we're going to do something that you've never heard the sentence before. We're going to have fun with spheres, okay? Spheres, that's even hard to say, let alone draw them, okay? Let's get right into it and I'll show you what I mean. Now, drawing anything in 3 dimensions requires, practice, understanding, perspective. So I have a couple of things to help out here. I have a couple of grids. Like we can use this to make a perspective grid. It's really not necessary, but I figured I'd draw it out for you just to show you, kind of how it all works. That when you're drawing something that seems simple, the more that you know, the better off you are. This is an ellipse template, and you'll see it has numbers here assigned to it: 20 degrees, 30, 40, 50, and 60. Now, what this is the angle that you're looking at a circle from. Okay, so these here are perfect circles. Picture, if you will, looking straight down at the ground, at your feet. Okay, you're looking at the ground at a 90-degree angle. And if you were to draw a circle around your foot, this is what you would see. Now, so this is a circle at 90 degrees, okay, or an ellipse at 90 degrees. And as you move away from it and your angle starts to change, you start to see it at 60 degrees, so it's a little bit less of a circle, then 50 degrees, even less of a circle, more compacted, 40, 20, down to 20, so it looks like that. And the further you get away from the circle, looking at it from an angle, the thinner it gets, okay? So, I mean, it's pretty simple when you think about it. But drawing an ellipse, drawing a sphere, my gosh, it's the most fun. I got to tell you, I really enjoy doing this stuff. I nerd out over it big time. Let's get into it. So say you're going to draw a circle or a sphere. It starts off with a circle, and it only becomes a sphere when you understand what's going on behind, under the hood, so to speak. Okay. So I like to freehand as much as possible. I have templates, I have rulers. I'm sure you do too. But the real skill of an artist is to be able to draw freehand. And the skill to do that it's a must for any artist. The way to do it is you lock up your wrist, you lock up your elbow. Don't move your wrist or your elbow as much as you can help it. And you move from your shoulder. If you move from your shoulder, you're going to have a much smoother line. Okay. A lot of people, traditional artists, will hold their pencil like this, and that's great too. It really does help to have a light touch. And as you get more confident, then you can start to draw. A little bit harder as you move through it. So here's a kneadable eraser, and I've shaped it into a circle, a sphere. And picture, if you will, drawing all the way around it like this. If you were to just take it, it's not going to show up because the kneadable eraser doesn't take pencil too well, but especially a blue one. But you can see, so we're going to draw a line around it. Maybe we'll use this one. How's that? No, even then. It's a funny illustration. But you can see that around the circle, you're going to have a line. I come up with really complicated words. Circumnavigating the sphere. Just drawn around the sphere at its center, okay? So here is a contour line going around my sphere, and it goes around behind it too, like this. So what we're doing is we're describing the outside of the sphere with a line. And it's going to be at an angle. And if we were to draw through it, so you can see behind it, it would be like that. Now, let's say that we have a line at 90 degrees to it right here. It's 90 degrees. Now we have a sphere. You can see that it looks three-dimensional. We'll go over to this one. So a nice way to start it is to draw a line from the top of it to the bottom. Let me show you what I'm describing. Here's Andrew Loomis's Drawing the Head and Hands, and he has a page in here that it just bakes my noodle. I love this page so much. Take a look at this. So in In drawing a sphere, if you imagine it in 3 dimensions right away, and you were to take something like a nail or an arrow or just something straight and poke it through, okay? 90 degrees, you can see it cuts right through the center of the sphere. And then you can use that as a mark to start. So let's say that I was going to divide this one in a similar fashion, like this. Draw 90 degrees, and this line goes through it. It enters the sphere, say right here, okay? And it exits somewhere down around here. You can draw now an ellipse on top of that sphere, like so. Like so. Now, once that's done, the way he did it here is there's a second line coming this way, going around it at 90 degrees. So you could do it this way. I think it's more like here on mine. There are ways to more accurately see this, and that's why I have all this equipment here with me. So the next stage of this exercise is to take the sphere and cut it, to slice it. I tried cutting this with an X-Acto knife. It doesn't usually go well. So my wife is out picking me up an orange so I can maybe try this again. But let's say that you have this kneadable eraser, and I'm just going to slice it right down the middle. That was satisfying. Okay, so now we have a slice. If we were to draw crosshairs on this thing, like so, like that, that's pretty handy. Let's try this. Yeah, there we go. That works better. There's a contour line. Another contour line. Not perfect, but it shows what we're going to do. So if I were to take a look at this from an angle, I can start to see where things are. It helps to have it in real life, but the real progress is made when you draw it. So let's try on this one. So I have crosshairs right here. It's kind of good. A little bit shaky. I'm all coffeeed up right now. Lots of coffee. There we go. It's not bad. You can get kind of a sense that it's three-dimensional. Let's try. I like the blue. Blue looks really nice to draw with for technical stuff. And you go over it with pencil afterwards, and it looks nice. So let's say we're going to draw down here. We're going to cut it in half this way. Okay, so we have a line going through it. Now, I can use our graph, and I can show you what I'm thinking. So we'll have a line coming down this way, hitting it at 90 degrees, like so. Let's say like that. Okay, hitting it at 90 degrees. And then from over this way, I have another one like that. Now I can't really draw on it, but I'm just kind of showing you how I'm envisioning the perspective grid working on this. You can play with it. You can move it out. You can move it close together, nice and compact. The grid is awesome. Grids are just helpful altogether. You know, like this. Super fun. Fun to experiment with. So I'm picturing it in my brain in 3 dimensions, and I'm going to mess with this contour line right here. Now, so there's one. Now this one, if it's entering over here, it's going to look something like this. It's exiting somewhere around here, because that's where they intersect, right? Those lines intersect. There we go. So this line come down like here through the center of our sphere, and this line comes over here. So we have a 3-dimensional sphere, and here's the center right there. Let's see if I can make this more clear. Let's draw over here. I just fill pages of my sketchbook with this stuff. This is great exercise for any artist. Let's try this. We'll draw another. Now I'm going to take an ellipse, cut it in half right here, like so. And then I'm just going to cut it in half right through the center. That wasn't a good one. I forgot how to draw an ellipse. My brain is working, my mouth's not. Yep. Andrew Loomis makes it look so easy. Take this, for instance, right here. So this is just phenomenal. It's really, really helpful to draw. Understanding ellipses takes a lot of work to really figure it out. So let's go over the anatomy of an ellipse for a second. I've drawn some helpful stuff right here. Take this little drawing, for instance, okay? This ellipse has 2 axes. This is the major axis and minor axis. Major just being major because of its size, it's the longer one. The minor being the shorter. The shorter is the much more important part. Now, in perspective, if you were to draw a square, for instance, or a, we'll say a square in perspective, like this. And can you see that? Okay, yeah. And we divided this square up into quadrants and then made it an ellipse, say like this and like this. Now we can start to draw an ellipse that's very accurate. And then from that, you can make it into part of a sphere. Like this. As though it was an orange sliced in half. And we have a cut right down the middle like this. And it will go back. It will go back like that. So as I'm drawing this, it just makes your mind work like crazy to divide it all up. I can't speak highly enough about this. This is great for any artist or draftsman just to practice over and over and over again, because it applies directly to drawing the human head using the Loomis method. So if you want to draw a face from your head or understand life drawing better, this is a great way to go about it. So we'll have the center of the square or circle right here. Let's say we're going to draw a contour line here like that. Okay. let's cut it in half this way. And we'll have another one, say, here, like so. It's a great, great exercise. Just slice the circle into little pieces. So going back to this one here, I would take this and erase it. Maybe shade it in a little bit. Yeah. I love it. Start another one over here. So if you want to practice drawing ellipses and you get really perfectionist about it, you can buy these templates. This is a circle template. This is an ellipse template. They're great. They do run their course. I get bored of them after a while, or they end up just kind of, getting in the way. But they're really good to, check your drawing to see how far you are from drawing a good sphere or circle or ellipse. Because when you draw your own and then draw it right next to something using a template, if you want to make it perfect afterwards, say if you were drawing a comic book and you just couldn't stand your imperfect circle, it's pretty handy. It'll just correct it. So I wouldn't say that it's a waste of money to buy templates, because I use them still, and I've had them for a couple of years now, but very rarely. It is really what you want to do is you just want to be able to draw it on your own freehand in a way that's accurate enough that it's believable, and that way you can move on. You don't want to spend forever doing one drawing. So let's practice a little bit more. We're going to take this sphere and we're going to divide it up like so. We'll draw a contour line over this side. So here's our mark, our X. Call it the X. All right. So it looks easy enough. Now, if I were to draw right through this and make this into 3 dimensions, you'd find the center of your circle, which is right about there, and we'd draw a line from there to there and continue it out to the end, like so. Now, thinking. It's going to be at an angle, and we're looking up at it from underneath. I'm going straight through. It'll probably end up something like this. Like this. So there's our other line from behind. Now, imagine this will look something like that. Sort of follow through and draw all the way around. Like that. The more I practice this, the more I really start to understand how things work. Because an ellipse with these two, let's try a perfect ellipse here, drawn with the minor and major axis. Here's the major axis. Let's see if I can use my template. It's a little too big. Just a tad too big for my template. No big deal. Like so. We'll erase one of these a little, just lighten it up. Now, here's how it would be with a perfect minor axis and major axis, like so. That's not really how they work, though. See, going around a sphere, if you rotate these, it'll be a lot more accurate. So let's say that we were to rotate it so that one of those lines runs like this. That way we have something more interesting to look at, coming around like that. And if we rotated that, we'd also have to rotate this. Just start figuring that out in your head. How you would rotate these markers underneath, how they would look, how they would show on the front, or how they would be hidden from behind. Let's try another one over here. Let's try like so. And we'll have one mark right up here for the crosshairs. Like that. We'll cut it through to the center, like so. Oh yeah, I like that. This strikes me as about 90 degrees, perpendicular, like so. It's not perfect, but it's passable. So there you go. I'm just playing around. Come back here. I'll bet you through that whole drawing session, my shoulders were hunched. So much tension. It's really good to just do this on a regular basis and do it until your brain starts to put all the pieces together. And then from there, you can draw eyes and heads, especially eyes and heads. I like drawing mecha also. It just helps with finding where to put everything. This is a drawing fundamental in my books, and it is irreplaceable and essential. I highly recommend it. So there you go. Until next time, thanks for joining me. And again, I'm Liam, helping you be the artist that you want to be. Subscribe. If you've lasted this long in the video, congratulations. Really appreciate you sticking around. Talk to you later. Bye now.